Just as men mistake attention for compatibility, women can mistake performance for character. Social media rewards visible success, confidence, aesthetics, and status, but those qualities alone don't tell us whether someone will become a faithful husband, father, or partner. So let's imagine together for a second. Picture this: two guys walk into a room, whether it's a bar, a wedding, a birthday party, you name it, any social gathering you can think of. Guy number one, we'll call him Darren. Darren walks in with confidence. He's got that drip, his hair's done, shoes are slick, got a little swagger in his walk, and he seems successful. So you take a peek out the window and you see his brand new car, that new, the best, hottest, the thing that you all desire. Now, he doesn't just talk to everybody in the room, but he also, can make them laugh and get their attention. And he's kind of the center of it. All his words seem to be strategically chosen. And he may have forgotten to bring a present for the guest of honor, so he just writes a check instead. But before the first bite of food, he has to leave early because of work or some other engagement that's more important than you. Guy number two walks in. We'll call him Kyle. Kyle comes in, finds himself a secure corner of the room to chill. His hands are rough and his posture is strong, and everyone knows that Kyle would give you the shirt off of his back. He's been humbled time and time again throughout his life. And no worries, he didn't forget a gift. He actually got you the perfect gift. And before he takes even the first bite of food, he takes a moment with God and prays. Now, who gets noticed first? Who would you rather have sitting beside you in a hospital bed after 30 years of marriage? Is there a correct answer? Well, maybe. So stick with me and we'll discuss it together. Welcome back to Undivided. I'm your host, Adam Maxwell, where we talk about rebuilding your life through faith, discipline, and adventure. Today, we're going to be talking about why women think that they need the perfect man and how media has changed how we value men overall. So let's dig in. I want to start by going over the rise of the highlight reel. In general, it can be men, it can be women, it can be all of them. And I feel like I've been beating a dead horse over and over about how social media rewards what we see and what we begin to really develop a liking for. Obviously, it's the visibility. How easy is it for people to find you? The attraction, whether it's physical or sexual attractions, sex appeal, overstimulation for most people, so you just continue to scroll, so on and so on. And the ideal man online oftentimes looks as though that they, have money, confidence, they have a lot of influence in people's lives, physically attractive, their luxury lifestyle that everybody wishes that they had, and constant adventure all of the time. And none of these things are inherently bad. And I also want to stress the fact that I don't feel like social media is intended to be bad, but because of how the algorithms, and that's what we're talking about right now in this season, are the algorithms within social media. I think social media and media in general can be a wonderful thing. I went from being a chef to becoming a carpenter, and I've always been handy. My brain allows me to be able to figure things out. I can utilize my hands and create. But there's a lot of stuff that I had no idea how to do. So I would turn to social media or YouTube and find somebody that can teach me that way. It's almost like a digital download, right? You've seen movies in the past where they hook up to the I think it's the Matrix, as a matter of fact, where they hook up to the internet and they can download skills. I mean, and that's as close as we have gotten, or I hope we get, because you can go on there and you can utilize it for positive things all the time. But as we know, it's easy to fall down the trap. It's easy to fall into this, continual cycle of garbage content and things that are trying to make us see the world in a different way than we should, is how I feel about it. But anyways, like I've said, not all of these behaviors or all of these attributes are inherently bad, right? If you have a luxury lifestyle, good for you. If you have a ton of money, wonderful. Confidence is key, right? And having influence amongst people is great as well. But the question is are those things alone enough? Are those types of attributes, are those enough to really frame your life around? Are you going to find Prince Charming out there? Is he even out there for you? If you hold these standards in such a way, and where did the ideals come from? Is it truly you, or is it beyond you? And yes, this episode today is kind of geared towards women and what their expectations are for the perfect man, or the perfect man in their life. And sometimes you don't find a man that's absolutely perfect, but you can help develop this individual to becoming a better version of himself. If a guy, myself, has nobody and I'm just running amok, I'm a wild animal. Women are here to help tame us and become good fathers and good husbands and good people overall. But the question really lies in is like, where did you get these ideals from? Is it from the movies that you've been watching, the romance novels that you've been reading, influencers online, or the celebrity culture? And the celebrity culture, it looks fun and fancy, and you get all these, awesome parties that they go to, and you see these, these actors and actresses that get married to each other and they look perfect, right? But how long does that stuff really last? Because you can only act for so long. You can only really keep that stuff together if you're compatible. And visibility isn't the same thing as virtue, right? So just because that person has some of these performance attributes doesn't mean that they're going to be the perfect version for you. So you got to ask yourself, what's more important, performance or character? And you might ask yourself also, what is the difference between performance and character? Well, luckily you're here with me and I can explain it to you perfectly. I promise I won't mansplain it. Or I might. Whatever. It's what we're good at. We're good at trying to fix problems. It's what guys are good at. And most of the time when we're trying to explain something to our significant other or anybody else, it isn't about telling you that you're wrong. It's not about telling you that, we know all that is right, but our brains work in such a manner that we want to try to fix the things that are broken around us. And women sometimes just want to talk about it. And I have to be very vigilant as a husband to listen and understand. And sometimes I literally have to ask, is this a listening problem or is this a fix-it problem? Right? Because you come to me with a problem and I'm listening. And while I'm listening, my brain is formulating a way to fix the situation. And sometimes it's not about fixing it, right, ladies? Sometimes it's just about letting it out. And maybe guys need to be better about that. Maybe we just need to talk about it and not try to fix it. But that's just not how we are. We're wired differently. Obviously, there's an exception to every single rule out there. So it's not all or nothing. There is gray area in life. So remember that. But anyway, what is the difference between performance and character? Well, luckily you're here with me, and performance is what most people see a person doing. Character is who somebody is when nobody is really watching. And so, like the performance characteristics, a person is charming, outward, funny, successful, romantic, publicly romantic often. I'm not talking about like PDA where they're making out on a fountain in the middle of a park like perverts. But being romantic so that everybody sees it. That's that performance, right? And character, on the other hand, is a little deeper. And it's not so easily seen. You have to be a part of that person's life to really appreciate it. And that character, that character is honesty, faithfulness, patience, being responsible, self-controlled for the most part. Obviously, we all can get a little out of control, but self-controlled overall. And the question is which one is easier to fake? Is it easier to fake the performance side of things? Kind of sounds like acting. Or is it harder to fake the character side of things, which is truly that person, right? Like deep in their souls and who they really are. And I've always had a hard time with it. I grew up, in a broken home, and I was the comedian in the family, and so I was always trying to, cut the tension in the room through being a goofball or an idiot. And I always was capable of making people laugh, and so making people laugh made me feel good in turn. So I always was a performer. I made people think that I was a better version of me than I really was. I mean, much more broken inside than I would ever admit. But I've lived enough years and I've gained enough wisdom over the time that I'm starting to realize that it's hard to keep up the act. I'm done. I'm done trying to act. Done trying to make people see this performance rather than just, kind of being me instead. And it's hard to break those habits. It's hard to break the performance habits to really to get deep with somebody like my wife. It took a lot of years. I would pretend to be one way and then go act another when she wasn't around, and she knows about it. I mean, we've talked about it, and she knows. She's been a part of it. I've acted in ways that she isn't proud of, and nor am I at this point in my life. But it was easier for me to pretend to be a version of myself that wasn't true and authentic, because the other side of things were hurtful, or that hurt. They hurt me. They hurt inside of my soul, right? Hold on. I was trying to record this episode today, and I've got a nice little office up on top of my shop or whatever, and the neighbor guy got going with his lawnmower, and holy smokes, I was just fuming. I just had to take a minute and breathe. But here we are, things don't go right all the time. And sometimes I feel like I'm being spiritually attacked for even trying to do what I'm doing here. But I'm going to continue on no matter what, even if it feels like it might break me. I know that you guys are here listening, and that's why I continue to do this, because I needed this in my life, and now that I feel like I can do it, I'm here for you. But back to the performance side of things is like, here I sit in front of this camera. Am I performing or am I being honest? And there's stories that I haven't told because they're harmful to myself, and they're harmful to my persona, and there's fear behind it. And I think that we all have that going on, so we kind of perform a little bit for everybody as much as we can. And guys, just stop, right? Like, stop trying to peacock all the time, and maybe you'll find that woman, and vice versa. But obviously we got to try to look good in order to attract the perfect person, right? The perfect man. So trying to break these habits is very difficult. And especially when you're surrounded by all these fictitious individuals that look awesome or perfect, or these boyfriends that do these big, huge, amazing, romantic gestures that aren't realistic, and people see them, and there's novels and movies and, all this acting out there that puts an idea inside of your head, like, oh, I need to find a man that is 6'4" or taller than me, muscly, but not too muscly. And he is, soft but firm, and he's good at telling jokes and making me smile, and he can cook food really well, and like all of the things, like ticking all these boxes that isn't really realistic. Like, you can grow together eventually and maybe get those things out of somebody, but when you build this character inside and you're evaluating it off of performance, and you don't take enough time to observe their true character, sometimes you find yourself in a relationship that's very empty and void of true true happiness. So character truly, it moves slowly, right? It's built on a steady foundation as opposed to performance can be manufactured overnight. I can, if I wanted to, I could study a personality out there, like a different version of myself, and I could go and I could pretend to be that person tomorrow if I wanted to be. But the character side of things, the true inner you, is something that you develop over years and with wisdom and with situations that you've gone through. But performance, like I said, can be manufactured overnight, and it's built on a broken foundation as opposed to a steady foundation, which is where the character lives. And I want to push back on the idea just a little bit, right? I want to push back on this algorithmic side of things. And I'm not saying that you can't find a needle in the haystack, right? Because these men, these perfect men, if you will, they might exist, but you might search your entire life and to find a man with all of the qualities. And am I asking, women out there to lower their standards? No. I'm not saying that you should lower your standards and find some guy that, just isn't quite for you. It's hard if you're not totally attracted to somebody. But I think that if you start to learn who they are for real and find their true character, that attractiveness becomes more so than just the surface level. And I know that confidence is attractive. There's no doubt in my mind, but there's a lot of guys that have confidence, but it takes time for them to really expel it out of them with being around you. Is dedication to success bad? No, not inherently, not necessarily. It can be, if you're dedicated to a successful life as a man, and it's all you do, and you're like, you know what, I need to have a hot wife on my arm and 4.5 kids and all the rest of the things and nice cars and nice this and nice that. Money doesn't buy happiness. It might brighten your day, but it doesn't buy happiness. And all the things in the world can't make you smile, other than a jet ski, of course, all day long. But even a jet ski gets boring. If you don't have the true character in life, true character of life, like the real meat and potatoes of a life, all the rest of it just kind of fades away. You can't, you can be buried in your boat if you want to, but if you never spent any time with your family, it's one of the main things that I hear from older people that I talk to is, is there something you would have done differently in your life? And 90% of the time, and I'm just making up a statistic here, but most of the time they say that they wish they would have spent more time with their family. So having somebody that's dedicated to success in life isn't necessarily bad, but success isn't just your job. Success is being a good dad, a good husband, a faithful disciple, whatever you may find as success. And the question is your standard that you're looking for in a man realistic? It might be realistic, but for who? Is it realistic for you, or is it realistic for the general population of men that are out there wishing that they could have a good woman in their lives? The problem isn't wanting the qualities, the performance qualities. It's making them the foundation, right? Like find the good character qualities and make that the foundation, right? So if you have the performance qualities and you make that the foundation instead of the bonus, you might find yourself married to somebody that you don't even get along with. You might find yourself with children with this person and they're nowhere to be found. They're just constantly gone or constantly working. And I don't have every answer. I just want to bring up the questions and I want you to think about it for yourselves. And like, what version of man are you? If you're listening, what version of man are you? Are you a performer or are you a character? Like, do you have the character qualities? Because the performance qualities aren't wrong. They're just not the complete picture, right? You have to have that character too, And some people just don't. They're just all performance. And they think that having a faster, nicer car, a bigger, more beautiful home, a hot wife running around, they think that that's success. And they'll be sadly mistaken someday, because I tell you what, beauty fades and money comes and goes. You might be the richest man on the planet one day and poor the next. And if you don't have a good person on your arm that can ride or die, you're going to be all alone again. And you got to ask yourself, is there a way to predict a healthy marriage? Is there a way to predict that in the grand scheme of things, right? So like when life gets difficult, which qualities matter most? Integrity, humility, emotional maturity, faithfulness, self-control, or kindness? Or the qualities like money, confidence, influence, physical attractiveness, or the luxury lifestyle? What's more important? And you have to ask yourself seriously. Sure, who doesn't want a big, beautiful home? We've been taught that for a long, long time. Capitalism is great, but it has its flaws too, and that is to show you a lifestyle to get you to buy the car and get you to buy the diamond ring and get you to buy the jet ski or the boat or get you to buy the big, beautiful home. You have to look past that stuff. You have to find the true character qualities in life, not just the performance crap, right? Sure. Who doesn't want to live in a big, beautiful home? I'm blessed as all get out. We have a big, beautiful home in a small rural town, and I literally walked through this house when it first got put on the market, and I was with my mother-in-law, and she's like, "Oh, this house is amazing. You got to come see it." So I came out and I checked it out, and it's a 1890 Victorian built home. More like a farmhouse than like, the grand stairway and stuff. I'm getting off topic, but the point of the matter is that I sat there and thought to myself, man, I'll never live in a house like this. And worked really hard and built my business up. And eventually I needed more space for my business. So I was looking for something that would make sense. And this house was still on the market a year later, and bam, here I am living in it. Found out it wasn't as wonderful as we thought it was, because the outside looked wonderful, that performance side of it, right? But then we got into it, and the character side of this home, I found that it needed a new water heater, needed a new furnace. We almost got killed by the furnace. The heat exchanger was busted wide open. Thank the Lord. The blower motor was loud and making all kinds of crazy noises. And I called my HVAC guy to come over and take a look at it. And we found that two of the heat exchangers were busted wide open. I mean, we could have been killed in the night. So even this big, beautiful home that I thought I was moving into, that I was like, oh, I'll never have something like that. I move into it, and then I find that sure, it's beautiful, but there's all this inner workings that I didn't pay attention to completely, or know to pay attention to, that we had to fix immediately. Like I said, new furnace, AC, water heater, water softener, washer dryer. I mean, the front porch was falling apart. All these different things that were an issue. And so what I mean, what I'm getting at is that having a big, beautiful home isn't everything it's chalked up to be, because there's a lot of baggage that comes along with it. A lot of taxes, a lot of this, a lot of that, the character side of things that you're just kind of ignoring, just like in a relationship or meeting somebody new. And what do you want out of it, right? Which qualities truly matter the most in life, right? Like, think about the real life lows that you may experience in your future, or maybe you already have, and you could speak directly to it, but maybe you haven't. What do you want? Do you want the character qualities, or do you want the performance qualities in these real life lows? Like having the worst day at work and coming home. Who are you coming home to? Are you coming home to the guy that has the patience and the humility and the faith that you can unload on them, and they can be your sounding board and listen and allow you to work yourself through these emotions? Or do you want the guy that's all about money and influence and just trying to be attractive and doesn't want to listen to your garbage? I mean, to ask yourself for real. Or a falling out between you and your best friend. Who are you coming home to? Or you find out you're pregnant. Who are you going to come home to? And I'm not saying that being pregnant is a low, but it might be in some form, like you weren't expecting it. And the miracle of a child sometimes doesn't feel like a blessing in the beginning, but I guarantee you it will become that if you allow it to flourish. But finding out you're pregnant, who do you want to be standing there, waiting to tell? Or if you're extremely sick, with some kind of illness or need somebody to care for you because you had surgery or, losing a parent or a loved one, who do you want there? And just like the lows in life, the highs in life require having somebody with stability around you as well. Because people that are on the performance side of things, oftentimes, and myself included, it's competitive, right? Like, oh, well, she's doing better than me. It makes me look like an idiot or makes me look bad. And I had a hard time with that even in my relationship with my wife for years. I always said, best way to describe it, I thought was, have you ever seen the movie WALL-E? WALL-E's the movie with the little robot that crushes garbage and puts it in piles. If you had kids, you've definitely seen it. If you don't have kids, it's worth a watch. Yes, it's a kid's movie. But there's some extremely beneficial things in that movie to teach you some lessons. There's some beneficial lessons within that movie to show you what's important. But this little stupid robot meets this other robot that's like plays the female version, and she flies off of the planet in this rocket ship, and little WALL-E races to go and grab onto this rocket ship, and he grabs onto the rocket ship with his little hand, and that rocket takes off out of the atmosphere at thousands of miles per hour, and he's just hanging on for dear life, and for a lot of years, that's how I felt with my wife, because she's a very successful and intelligent individual, got her head on straight, and I was just an animal for many years trying to figure out who I truly was, right? And there we go. And the problem with it is, I was a performer. And when she did well, sometimes I had a hard time accepting it. When she wanted to go do something awesome that I couldn't afford to go do with her, I would make her like feel bad, right? Like it took time for me to grow into a different version. I mean, she clearly saw something in me that I didn't, and thank the Lord she hung on to me, because she helped me find the best version of me, and I'm still working on it. But the real life highs, right? Like, who do you have next to you? Do you got the performer, the guy that is all competitive, and he better be the one that's the breadwinner. He better be the one that can prove to you how awesome he is. Because like, if you go and you graduate from college, who do you want standing there waiting for you? Right? When you walk off that stage, getting that promotion that you've been working towards, where you're going to take that next big leap in success and making a great living and doing what you love. Going on the dream vacation that you've always wanted. Who do you want with you? Somebody who really wants to see you enjoy that, and having humility and being able to try to build you up in these high moments, like really bolster you as a successful individual and help each other. Or somebody who might get pissed because they think, oh, she's better than me now, and make her feel bad. I've done it. And if you're sitting there telling me that you haven't done that to somebody, then good on you. But I bet you most people have. Or that high moment of finding out you're pregnant. Do you want to be pregnant with that guy that's there for you 110 and can't wait to be a dad and can't wait to bring God's word into that child's life, and raising those babies with which version do you want? Do you want the dad that's there? Or do you want the dad that isn't there, that isn't present, that focuses on his success and all the things that don't really matter out there, that we've been kind of duped into thinking are more important than spending time with each other. Who do you want beside you? The performer or the true inner character individual? That's what you need to answer. And the man who impresses a crowd isn't always the man who carries a family on his shoulders. It might seem like it in front of other people, but behind closed doors, it's a fight every night. And trying to find masculinity through a Christian lens sometimes is difficult to do because everybody thinks, oh, Christianity, you got to love, and you got to be this perfect individual. And that's as far from the truth as it can absolutely be. Jesus Christ died for my sins so that I could find my way to heaven as long as he is my savior, which he absolutely is. And what you gotta do though is you gotta contrast, right? Like to see this masculinity thing through the Christian lenses, you gotta contrast the worldly culture and the Christian culture when it comes to how a man should act, right? Like the worldly culture, which obviously is just like the regular everyday people who are cynical about religion. How does a man prove himself in the worldly view? Success, status, money again, wealth, influence, appearance, all the things that are just all the things that are contrary to biblical teachings, right? And the Christian view of how a man proves himself is through service and sacrifice, integrity, humility, and faithfulness. And where does success truly come from? You? Who's responsible for our successes? Who am I doing all of this work for? If you answered yourself, you might need to take some time to truly reflect on what the truth is. And as I start into this passage, it might be hard to kind of connect the dots, but what we're trying to do is trying to show what makes a leader, what makes a man, what really is the important part of masculinity. What is an important quality in a leader? And John chapter 13, verses 1 through 17, if you read it, Jesus washes his disciples' feet. I'm going to read through it. It's not very long, but I think it's important. And then we'll kind of get into what I'm trying to say here. So again, chapter 13, verses 1 through 17, John. Jesus washes his disciples' feet. It was just before the Passover festival. Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. The evening meal was in progress, and the devil had already prompted Judas. The devil had, the son of Simon, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with a towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus replied, "You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand." "No," said Peter, "you shall never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." "Then, Lord," Simon Peter replied, "not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." Then the Lord, Simon Peter replied, "Do not wash my feet." Obviously, I make mistakes, right? Then the Lord, Simon Peter, replied, "Not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus answered, "Those who have had a bath need only to wash their feet. Their whole body is clean. And you are clean, though not every one of you. For he knew who was going to betray him, and that was why he had not everyone was clean. When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. Do you understand what I have done for you? He asked them. You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. Very truly I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them. I can read, I swear. Oh, man. So, anyways, you get into that and you're like, well, how does that even relate to anything you've talked about here yet? And what that gets into, right, is Jesus being called teacher and Lord. As Jesus was elevated to a higher status than most, Jesus showed his disciples that serving one another that follow him will allow his followers to serve others more successfully. So if you don't hold yourself to a higher standard on a regular basis, like to the people around you, right? We're all human beings. We're all sinners. We all make mistakes. We all see things from the improper lens from time to time. You can serve others more successfully if you humble yourself, and by sharing their faith, encouraging them, and standing by them through difficult times. We all find that as we support each other, we will grow stronger as well. So that begs to ask, what qualities does that require? Is it the surface level attributes? Is it the performance qualities? Or is it deep God-given moral qualities? So who are you looking for? Are you looking for somebody who isn't willing to wash other people's feet? Not literally, but figuratively. If you're the boss and you're not willing to get down and dirty with the people that work for you, how are they going to respect you? If you're going to focus on yourself as a man and you're going to focus on money and things, how are you going to be able to focus on your family and your wife? What version of a man do you want? Is what you need to ask yourself as a woman. Do you want somebody that's willing to wash their servants' feet, or do you want somebody who's going to turn their head from them? Let's not forget that beauty fades, but glory stays. This all boils down to, who do you want leading your family? A man that leads with fear and power, or a man that leads with strength and faith? The strongest man in history didn't come to be served. He came to serve others. And that's Jesus Christ. And I thank him every day that I take another breath every morning and I get to wake up and think about you guys. No, it matters though. It really does. So you got to really, again, you need to reflect on all of these things. You got to look in the mirror, and it's your turn to look into the mirror honestly. And ladies, you need to ask yourself, what qualities have you been trained to prioritize? What qualities have you been trained to prioritize? And guys, fellas, what image are you trying to project? Are you just trying to look awesome because you think that that's the only way to get a hold of a good girl? You know, I mean, what version of woman are you looking for too? Because it goes both ways. This pendulum swings both ways. And I can say for sure that in my experiences of life, oftentimes when I would like go out to try to impress people or impress women for that matter, and I'm all dolled up or whatever, and I'm looking good and I got my hair done, wearing nice clothes, da 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 da. It's like fighting against the world to try to like meet somebody. And then there's other times where I would go out and I'd be just barely put together, or just left work and I'm in my chef gear or whatever. It's been a long time since I've dated, guys, I'll be honest with you. And so I might be a little rusty, but human nature is human nature at the end of the day. And I can assure you that it's not as hard as you think it is. But when I wasn't all dolled up and peacocking, it was not almost, it was easier to meet somebody because I feel like when you're peacocking, you kind of not that you're like a threat, but you're you're held to a higher standard, right? It's kind of like somebody who goes to the gym every single day. It's hard to live up to those standards. You're like, oh, geez, do I have to go to the gym every day too? We better find somebody like you. Otherwise, you meet somebody who goes to the gym every single day and you're not. It's going to be hard to keep up, right? But what are you trying to achieve getting into a relationship with somebody? Are we becoming people who are impressive online or impressive to be seen, or are we trying to become dependable in real life situations and real life relationships? In this season, we're trying to get out there and break the algorithms and change our ways and try to enjoy life so we can meet somebody worth their salt. What's important about salt? What does it do, right? It enhances the flavor of life. Salt is the key to life. One of them, you know. There's a chef that once asked if, in an interview, if you have three ingredients that you can bring to a deserted island, three ingredients to cook with, what are those three ingredients? And if you didn't answer salt and pepper, you wouldn't get hired. But salt is the first one because salt is the key. It is the key to the flavor of life. So be somebody worth their salt. Break free from the lies being told every day and find someone for you, right? Find somebody that is for you. Who cares what other people think? Who cares if you feel like, oh, they might judge me for liking a girl that's thick, or they might judge me for liking a girl that looks like this or like that, or vice versa. Dad bods are hot too. I've got one going on real good right now after being down from surgery. I gained a little weight. Sometimes I see myself and I'm like, yeah, but it's okay. It's not about the appearance. It's about the content of that character. But God forms us through faithfulness. He made us for each other. Go and be courageous out there, find adventure, break through the monotony, break through the algorithm. It's time for you to do some work. It's time for you to get out there and make a change. Instead of being lonely and worried about how somebody might ruin your life, the Lord puts us through different difficult seasons in life so that we can learn a lesson, so we can find out what we don't want. And it might suck for a minute. And I know that when things suck, it's inconvenient and it feels like a waste of time, but even bad examples or bad situations teach us great things. It can be some of the best things. I mean, okay, if I reward somebody for every good thing that they do, they forget about all the good things that they've done. But if I punish them for the thing that they do wrong, they'll remember that forever. Negative consequences, unfortunately, but fortunately, are the closest thing tied to memory. Why do you think all the negative content that's out there, all the negative news sticks so hard inside of our brains? It's because we are just built that way. The negative brings out the positive, right? Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, yin and yang, however you want to put it. But don't just become complacent and not try and not go out. So I'm going to ask you for this week's field assignment. It's easy. Or is it? I want you to do one thing for me, or one thing for yourself. Forget about me. I want you to make two lists. 2 lists. Can I say that right? Yes. Lists. List number 1. I want you to make a list of qualities that immediately catch your attention in a potential partner. Like, what are those things, right? Like, immediately. Close your eyes, look at some photos of some people or the guy that you really like or you think you like, and the qualities that immediately catch your attention about a partner. In the second list, I want you to really think about qualities that you believe would matter most after 5, 10, 20 years of marriage. It might be asking too much, but it shouldn't be. You just need to take the time to do it. Put your phone down. Go do that. Make these 2 lists. One that are qualities that immediately catch your attention, and the other are qualities that develop after 10, 20 years of marriage that matter in those moments. And don't short yourself, right? Like, actually make a long list for each. And then you compare the 2 of those lists and you see, where do they overlap? Maybe one of the qualities that catches your eye right away are how kind a person is. And also, you need kindness in this longevity, right? Where do they overlap and where don't they? It's kind of like making a pros and cons list, sort of. Like, pros and cons can be the same thing. A pro and a con can be the same thing depending on your perspective and what it's about. And, so where do they overlap? Where don't they? And then you need to finally ask yourself, which list has been shaped by culture and which list has been shaped by my own wisdom? And if you're young, wisdom comes with time. We all know that. And it's not always easy to be able to be like, oh, I know. Then ask some people that you do know. Talk to people that are in positive and good relationships. And hopefully they truly are, and they're just not performing in front of everybody that they know, because, behind closed doors, who knows what's going on, right? And, we get back to the dang internet and social media. The internet teaches us, to look for people who are, extraordinary to watch and interesting to get your eyes staring at. For men and women, it's a little bit different, the characteristics that they're looking for. And it's easy for me to tell you about how easy it is for, a girl in a bikini to pull a guy's attention. Is it the same way with, women and men that are jacked and just like lifting weights? I would imagine so, but that'd be shallow of me to even think. So life teaches us how to treasure people who are extraordinary to build with, right? The internet teaches us what's extraordinary to watch, but life and wisdom teaches us to treasure those people who are extraordinary to build with. And those aren't always the same people. And maybe you got lucky. Maybe you were blessed and you got to meet this person that just checks all the boxes and blows your mind every day, but that's hard to come by. And sometimes you need to build together and find somebody that has enough of the qualities that you really care about. And don't forget to watch for the red flags. I mean, if you've been listening to my podcast, there's a lot of content. And, you can go back and you can listen to some of these things that, help you identify some of the things to watch for so that you don't get yourself in those situations. All these things aside, I'm here to try to help. And I don't always say the right things, and I'll say this every once in a while. I'm not always going to say the right thing. And if I don't say the right thing, please speak up. I'm happy to try to broaden my horizons. And if you have a different view on it and you think that your view is correct, please message me. Put it in the comments. I'm looking, I'm watching. And if you think I'm a fool, stop listening. But I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep cruising along. I feel as though God put me on this path, and then I'm going to continue voyaging down this path. And I'll tell you that scripture's illuminated a lot of things for me. And whether you believe everything that's within the covers of this book, there's lessons in here that defy all odds and last through centuries. So don't forget that this book is a guide to life if you're really listening. But I really want to thank you all so much for being here with me week after week. And if you feel this content is helpful, please smash that subscribe button. Share it with somebody that you feel would benefit from it. Leave a comment, send me a message, visit my website, iamundivided.com, and go to the contact page and shoot me a message about, any content that you'd like to listen to. If you'd like to give me your testimony, I'd be happy to do interviews with anybody who would like to come on. If you are a professional and you know more about some of this stuff than me and you'd like to share it, I'm happy to have you on the show. Please reach out. It's how I can become better at this. It's how we can build a stronger and better community. It's something that has been dying in the American way of life, is the lack of community. Ask yourself, do you know your neighbors' names? So it's always been a pleasure spending my time and broadening my horizons with y'all. And I'll see you next week and every week thereafter. And I just got to ask you one thing. Let's become undivided. I love you all. Thanks for being here. Peace out.